mark off. Well, he ordered his own. No, yeah. I have one, my green one. It's more of an emerald green. Did we get the? Did he? Yeah. Did we get the product for the 66? Did we get the product for the 66? Yeah. Did it do this or did I resign? Okay. It is done. That's all I want to make sure.
Yeah, it's done. I'm just not sure how they. Hey.
That's fine. City Commission. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Markert?
I'm here.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Ms. Cassell?
Here.
Ms. Burns?
Here.
Mayor Carney?
Here. Mr. Moore, how do we want to handle this?
Thank you.
The item is the discussion and selection of proposals for operations and management of the Crest Theater. We have, we need to also authorize the one to be able to participate.
Yes.
And then we will have 6 total that are participating.
I'll make that motion.
Do you want a little background?
I would love some background. Thank you so much.
Good idea. I was going to ask for it too.
So as you know, the city, prior to your tenure on this commission,
Is your mic on?
yes,
Forgive me.
The city issued a request for letters of interest. We did receive 5 respondents. In the interim, the new commission was elected. This was after March 9th. And we also received a 6th submission unsolicited. So the 5 that we received initially were solicited, and the 6th one was received unsolicited. And so before we commence, I would ask the commission to, it's not a defect, but just to, for the sake of the clarity of the record, to accept the 6th proposal for consideration today.
So moved.
Second for discussion. I'd just like to make a brief comment about the process, if I may. It seems like this is probably the appropriate time to do that.
If you wish.
First, I'd like to thank all the applicants who are here tonight, but for those of you who participated in our RFLI process last year, I'd like to apologize on behalf of the city. To be clear, I'm very disappointed with how we as a city handle this request for letters of interest, and that's not on this commission. After several workshops, a 6-month plus process, multiple rounds of document submissions asked for by the city that culminated in lengthy proposal documents from the interested organizations that are here tonight, and after a pledge from the former commission that included myself and Commissioner Burns, that process was supposed to end with a workshop and community input. And you were all simply sent rejection notices with no explanation. That's not okay to me. When I make a promise to the community and I get undermined, that's a problem. I asked during our goal-setting retreat that those of you who participated in that previous process be sent some kind of follow-up communication in terms of an explanation or an apology, God forbid. Was that ever done? Did we ever get that notice out?
I didn't see one.
There was not
response.
a consensus on that, I don't believe.
Well, I spoke with Mr. Moore, and you did say you were going to send something out.
The response was to extend the opportunity for an interview based on the direction of the entire body, which is where we are today.
Yes, but I specifically asked that the folks who had participated in the previous process be sent a better explanation
If I
as to
may.
why, I'm not done, would be sent an explanation as to why the process was abandoned and what this process was about. I don't know that that was ever done. And listen, this isn't about calling people out. This is about using this as a learning moment, because I don't think this is how we should be doing business as a city. And I did agree to this process today because we need to move forward. We need to reactivate classes at Old School Square and some activity in the Crest Theater. So I'm on board, and I intend to fully have an open mind during all these presentations today. I look forward to what everyone's bringing to the table. I appreciate everyone being here. But I do think this is a learning moment for us. I think the way that communication was handled it does not reflect the best of what our city can do. So that I wanted to make sure I got that out there. Thank everyone who stuck with us and came back to present, even though, in my opinion, you were not treated fairly the first time around. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did you want to be recognized?
I would just like to say that we work on a consensus, and Mr. Moore did not have a consensus to send a letter of apology, and we wouldn't even know what he would be apologizing for. So that's just my comment, if you don't mind.
Well, we're going to get started, but I would certainly agree that it was not, there were better ways to have handled
I think we have to do the
all
roll.
of those applications.
I got
and
a
everything. And
motion and a second.
So we have a motion and a second
We do.
to add the
Boca Museum of Art for
Museum of
consideration.
Art as to one of the presenters.
Thank you.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Cassell?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Carney?
Yes.
Mr. Markert?
Yes.
Great. So, in any particular order, how do we want to handle this? I think they're in the order, but I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, here, I'll give you mine.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, we have leadership from the
Thank you.
Purchasing Division of the Department of Finance in position to offer a brief commentary in terms of the path forward so that we can facilitate the presentation. So if you all don't mind, I'd like to give them the opportunity to proceed, please.
Thank you, yes.
Gentlemen.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor Carney, Vice Mayor Casal, members of the City Commission. I am Hugh Dunkley, Chief Financial Officer. On November 7, 2023, the City of Delray Beach issued a request for letters of interest, RFLI 2024-012, for management and operations of its Crest Theater facility, to which the city received 5 responses. On April 23, 2024, the city also received an unsolicited letter of interest from the Boca Raton Museum of Art regarding management and operations of the Crest Theater facility. During a regular meeting of the City Commission on May 7, 2024, staff was directed to invite all of the respondents to present at a special meeting on May 21st, 2024 at 3 p.m., which is today. The following respondents in alphabetical order have been invited to present their proposals. 27, the number 27 Productions. The second firm, Boca Raton Museum of Art. The third firm, HZIP LLC. The fourth firm, Old School Square Center for the Arts, Inc. The fifth, Taste History, Art, and Culture Study Tours. And the sixth and final firm, Windmill Theater LLC. For this special meeting, each firm will have, if needed, up to 10 minutes for presentations. The city clerk will be the official timekeeper. However, vendors should be monitoring their presentation times. Proposing firms are free to address or clarify any issues the commissioners should consider, as long as they limit the presentation to the time allotted. Presentations will be followed by an unlimited question and answer time period by the City Commission. At least one member of the vendor's presentation team should have the authority to bind the company, as vendors' answers may impact evaluation and scoring. The order of presentations have been determined, as Ms. Jalen indicated, utilizing a random list generator of firm names. The order of presentation will be as follows. The first firm will be HZIP LLC. The second, Old School Square Center for the Arts. The third will be Windmill Theater. The fourth, Boca Raton Museum of Art. The fifth, Taste History, Art, and Culture Study Tours. And the sixth and final presentation will be that of the 27 Productions. So without further ado, we'll give the HZIP LLC team an opportunity to present before you. Yes, sir.
Quick question, will the question and answer part be after each person goes, or at the very end altogether?
It's going to be after each successive.
Got it, okay, thanks.
You have a time clock up, Chair, just to point it out to you.
Well, we're an operational company. We basically manage real estate, HOAs, commercial real estate, residential, and this is where we came from.
Excuse me, sir. If you could just start with your name and address and the company you represent.
Yes.
And then dive right in. We'll restart your time.
I'm sorry, this is all new for me. This is
That's
just
quite
first
all
time.
right.
Okay, my name is
Actually,
Eli.
this process is new for a lot of us, so.
Yeah, so my name is Eli Omansky. I represent HZIP LLC. We're located in Palm Coast, Florida. Basically, we're a real estate management company. We did manage tennis centers, and we did provide curriculum classes for kids. So this is basically our expertise. We don't have exact expertise running theater, just basic programs. And that's the presentations we send in, which is a PowerPoint presentation format. If you can go in the slides. Thank you. All right.
The large button goes forward, the bottom button goes backwards.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see it. Yeah. So this is the basic reason for presentation. If you have any questions, we will address the concern questions, everything they have to ask. And sorry, I didn't take my glasses, so I'm gonna look on the phone through the presentation. So first slide is enhancing customer experience, and this is basically this is what we're good for.
Do you want my glasses? They're 125s here.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Okay, take your time. Relax.
Oh, I have the other way. It's a negative.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
How can I help you? Tell me.
Well, if I can move on.
Go ahead, yeah, please feel free to move on, yeah.
We have a microphone right there. Can he use that microphone? Thank you.
Apologize. So this slide is what we want to present in the theater, what kind of programs. And basically there is a 16, thank you. I'll start liking it here. So this is basically 16 kind of PowerPoints which we envision the use of the theater space itself. And it made to accommodate the wider variety of people and their taste. And if you can look up, because I don't see it, but if you have a better vision, basically we envision bingo games, poetry readings, theater production as a children groups, lectures, holiday special performances, fundraisings, foreign film showings, basically every Friday, once a year, fashion or beauty show, Delray Beach Youth Film Gala, and this is basically will be a part of a curriculum which we are trying to establish as a part of the theater. So we shoot for about 20 concerts a year, which is probably a low base and a small scale because of the size of the theater. Cultural festivals, and this is basically our vision of what is the best use for the theater space itself and how can we get people engaged and kind of in campus everyone who is a resident of Delray Beach. So let's go to the next slide. This is the arts program for the children which we envision for the space. And basically this is the list of the art classes which we plan to provide. I mean, basically it will be step by step. It will be in phases. We will have to first of all determine which art classes are most favorite and likable. But basically this is where we're up to in terms of the art and the craft. So it's ceramic class, jewelry, knitting, pottery, sand painting, sculpture, toy making, and visual storytelling. So those are the classes which are up for the bid. And part of the curriculum which we sort of envision the continuation of the art classes is basically art appreciation lectures, art history classes, and workshops. This is the dance classes, and I know you guys have a really good dance school, so the competition always works. That raises all the boats, so if there is a good competition, then probably the dance programming in Delray Beach will get much better. So this is baby dance, ballet, ballroom, contemporary, hip hop, Latin dance, tap dance, and then as the continuation of the dance program is a dance show which we will put up as part of the theater production and as part of the sort of a musical production in the theater. Dance competition, which is going to be part of a team dance competition. That's what we actually did in tennis, and this is what we're good for. So this education classes, which we envision part of the theater, it's art, music, history, calligraphy, chess, creative writing workshop, environmental science, financial literacy. It's basically for children and adults. First aid, CRP, logics, mental health awareness, mental toughness, and this is part of a basically, which is part of a tennis training, mental toughness, game straightening for young players, which would come next door and can get tougher in their games. Nutrition, cooking class, photography, and I said old school photography because it might be actual film photography. Where you have to develop those films. Public speaking, which obviously I'm not the best on. STEM workshops, upcycling, recycling. This is part of a curriculum which is important for the environmental part, to teach children how they can upcycle stuff. And basically we were big on environment ourselves, just as people, because we care about the environment. And probably environment will be part of our theatrical program. So film production. I did went to film school, so I'm familiar with film production, and you have a green wall there. So it makes sense to do a film production, small scale, teaching classes, film directing, makeup, photography, screenwriting, everything which concerning the film. So once again, musical classes, and this is all part of overall theater production, which will be sort of put together as mosaic to put up the shows, which we regularly will be putting up with children. So once again, theater and performance, acting workshops, and we intend to get professionals in who would direct those classes. Choreography, costume sets, direction and stage management, improvisation workshops, makeup, playwriting, public speaking, Shakespearean acting, stage combat, stagecraft and set design, storytelling, and once again, theater workshop, lighting, and this is basically a more technical style where children can learn basically what we envision that children can drop off and then figure out which they like most, what kind of art, because you never know what motivates them. And this is adult or basically fitness program, which is both for the adults and children, and there is space for the aerobics, mediation, mental awareness, Pilates, Tai Chi, yoga, and Zumba. This is what we envision on a regular basis as part of the program. And adult program is basically advanced visual art, which is painting, sculpture, art therapy, dance classes, financial literacy, GED preparation, mental health awareness, mindfulness and stress reduction, nutrition, cooking, which will be before the restaurant opens, and parenting classes. So senior fitness and stretching will be part of the curriculum. Should I just go in or should I continue?
You have 30 seconds to wind up.
Okay. So this is okay. So this is basically we're going to offer wide variety of programs. This is camps. Basically, we will provide summer camps and winter camps for children, which will be both art-based and fun-based, like outing activities, beach cleanings, birthday celebration, group activity. Once again, artist career development, this will be part of a curriculum where children can kind of find out from professionals where they're going, what's the hurdles of the profession, art schools, what will fit them best. So this is more for grown-ups like 17s or 18s, which plan to go on college.
I want to thank you very much for your presentation.
Okay.
No, we read it. We had it here on the screen in front of us. So while you were doing it, so we were following along with everything you were saying. Anyway.
Okay, and basically there's a list of I think the environmental program list of the things which we going to provide for the theater itself.
Okay.
And the list of the equipment.
Thank you. Members of the commission, any questions? Mr. Long.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. I'll wait till you get to the podium. So just a couple quick questions for you. It's a very ambitious sort of list of things that you would provide. Maybe we didn't get to the sort of the part of the presentation where you establish kind of a roadmap of how you're going to provide some of that stuff, what your team looks like, if anyone's had experience in these sort of functions in the past. And the other issue is you guys are an LLC, not a 501c3, and so would you be asking for funds to pay to provide a lot of these activities, or would it be volunteer-based? Just trying to get an idea of sort of the structure of your organization and how you would provide all the services that you listed.
No, we will be self-funded. We actually will provide city with the rental, which is I think for the first year is $2,500, and will go up to $8,000 a year a month in year number 4. Also, we will provide revenue sharing with the city. So I think it's up to 40% for some programs and 10% for the classes, so we can actually keep them affordable. In terms of roadmap, I believe there is a structure and phases in which we will provide them. I mean, this is the basically what we hear on the screen is the best case scenario. It's not going to happen all in the same time. It will be gradual. We have to learn and see where we're going with the classes and offerings, and I mean what type of classes actually needed for the community. But we will gradually add professional staff. I mean, it takes time. We have to go through the background checks and see who is most suitable for classes and how the children will communicate with the faculty and what the interaction is. So I mean that's reflecting in our monthly first year proposal, because basically we don't expect to turn any profit in the first or second year of the operation. So it's basically gradual startup, and I think in the other document which I sent in, it was more detailed on stages of how we're gonna encourage that operation.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Marshall, Commissioner?
Sure, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. So you said you're a management company.
Yes.
Okay, are you running a school like this currently?
No.
Or would this be your first go-round?
That will be our first.
Interesting.
Yes.
So you currently have no student base, none of that?
Tennis.
Just the tennis?
Just
I
the
love
tennis
tennis
program.
myself. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. If I think of other questions, I'll email you.
Okay.
Commissioner Burns.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to know, based on the list of activities, which was a great list, did you gather any information about the residents of Delray Beach and the interests of the people? I mean, what is that list based on? Is that just a global?
No. Basically, it was based on what is the best use of the facility after we made the tour. So there is some classes which are suitable for to fill up the rooms which are empty in the facility, and that's what the list based on. In terms of population of Delray Beach, yes, there is 68,000. The average age is 48 years old, and but those classes are basically divided between two groups, which for the adults, it's classes are aimed at seniors, and for the rest of the classes is basically youth, middle school, and up. And our goal is to just create this a safe bubble for the children so they can experiment, they can find out what they like and how they will go on with their lives. Because as I understand, there's not much except the beach and schools and an environment where the children can actually grow and find out. I mean, but other thing is culture and art is what makes people smarter, what makes children to be more accomplishing in life. And basically this is what the program is based on. Best utilization of the theater space and what kind of programs that can kind of push that forward.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I do have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do you anticipate background checking your employees?
Yes. That was in the proposal.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, of course.
Yeah. No, that's important.
Of course, that's important.
Thank you.
Great. I really appreciate you taking the time to make the
Thank you.
presentation today. Thank you very much. We next have,
The next firm to present will be Old School Square Center for the Arts.
gotcha.
How do I work this?
The big button is forward.
Okay.
The little button is backward.
You move forward. Ready? Mhm. Ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, City Manager, and City Attorney, thank you for inviting Old School Square Center for the Arts to present today. As our team was preparing for this presentation, I was thinking about what sets us apart from the others. First is our history.
Could I just ask you to identify yourself? We're going to let you start again.
Okay.
Okay. Identify yourself and the organization. And
All right. Patty Jones, Old School Square Center for the Arts.
perfect.
Do you need my address or no?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for inviting Old School Square Center for the Arts to present today. As our team was preparing for this presentation, I was thinking about what sets us apart from the others. First, it is our history. Our organization created Old School Square and delivered arts and culture and provided a community gathering place successfully for 30 years. We programmed over 3,000 activities on the campus each year. Despite the misinformation you may have heard, we consistently produced clean financial audits. And Deborah just handed you our audits from 2018 and on. They're clean. And just for the record, 2 of those audits were sent in August and September of 2021. That was 18 and 19, which is on top of your pile. We also provided the total funding we received from the CRA each year in the form of grants, which were earned in return for delivered programming. And as important is how. How could we operate the campus so successfully? It is what we locals and longtime families like Odom, Bork, Simon, Pompey, Latner, Lynch, Jones, Elmore, and 2 of your families, Carney and Burns. We love our community, and many operated Old School Square from the heart. We learned from all the generational families that stayed decade after decade. We lived by, and are proud to say, the Delray Way, which is, it is family, it is connection, it is community, it is a village by the sea. So, we're here to rediscover something new. Why are we here? Old School Square Center for the Arts is here to request an agreement between the City of Delray Beach and Old School Square Center for the Arts for operating, programming, management, and administration of the Crest Theater building. We would also like a cooperative agreement between the DDA and OSS, for marketing and coordination of the campus programming. The DDA always states that they have a marketing superpower, and we agree. Old School Square Center for the Arts mission statement is to be the community's cultural center and gathering place for enriching the lives of all people by providing a total arts experience through visual and performing arts, education, and entertainment while preserving the National Historic Site. Our primary goals will be to reignite the vibrancy of the Crest Theater building by providing diverse arts experience through visual and performing arts, education, and entertainment. Our phased activation plan for the Crest Theater building. Throughout all 3 phases, we will continuously develop and fine-tune the strategic business plan, engage in grant writing, foster community involvement, coordinate with the Delray Arts and Culture community and Delray schools. We will rebuild donors and volunteers and nurture long-term relationships. In phase 1, we will activate the Crest Theater classrooms and kitchen through visual arts, multimedia, photography, culinary arts, professional artist mentoring, workshops, and open studios. The open studio concept is needed. We need to keep Delray artists in Delray. This concept has worked for us in the past, where an open studio was available for local artists to come in and create. In phase 2, activate the Crest Theater stage through fashion shows, community meetings, lectures, visiting authors, student programming, and rentals. Now, the stage is not ready for professional performances at this time, but we can create these events immediately. Phase 3, activate Crest Theater building through performing arts, acoustical concerts, holiday event, programming for children, music, dance, and theater. Our phase 1 timeline. Q2 of this year, we'll have a kickoff, develop a partnership agreement with the city to include a long-term lease, and gather community input through charrettes. Q3, activate visual art classes and hire staff. Q4, activate entertainment initiatives. OSS organizational strengths. Historic restoration and preservations. We, along with the community, revitalized those buildings. We have assets. We have items that we can bring in to activate the classrooms and stage immediately. We have community and artist and vendor relationships. We also have the 32 plus years of experience of running the site. We have experience in revenue generation, and we can make a financial impact by reduced taxpayer burden, increased business revenues, and enriched quality of life. Now this slide, there was an in-depth outside study done in 2015. That's 9 years ago. And at that time, Old School Square Center for the Arts had 4.2 local revenue economic impact. We had 4.9 in state revenue economic impact. And we had 100 million of total culture-related spending, and included 2,200 full-time equivalent jobs were generated. Now remember, this is 2015, 9 years ago. Next slide, sorry. Short, medium, and long-term goals. Years 1 to 3, we will activate, build, and expand the activities as outlined. We will have artist open studios, culinary industry certifications with the help of local restaurants. We will relaunch the memberships. We will secure and manage grants. Years 3 to 5, we will actively pursue national grants if we hadn't already done so. Fully engage donors. expanded programming and events. We would also like a creation of a collaborative cultural arts council to possibly include nonprofits such as the Arts Garage, SD Spady, the Arts Warehouse, the Del Rey Playhouse, and others. 5 to 10 years and beyond, expanded management duties for the campus through the Collaborative Cultural Arts Council, youth summer camps, artist in residency for performing arts, dance, or music. So, in summary, the ask is to have an agreement between the city to manage, operate, and administer the Crest Theater building to include a long-term lease, an agreement between OSS and the DDA regarding marketing and program coordination for the site, and the why. Old School Square Center for the Art is best suited for the Crest Theater. We have the 32 years experience and expertise in making Del Rey an epicenter for the arts. We have items and materials to activate the buildings. We are also a nonprofit status in order to raise money to offset tax burden. We have the ability to write grants immediately. We are ready. Old School Square Center for the Arts has the most experience and knowledge of our community, the arts, and the campus. We look forward to helping bring the site into the future as we help the city and community in the past to lovingly restore and revitalize the heart and soul of Delray Beach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Mr. Long? I'm
For
sorry.
questions, can I have a couple of the board members come up with me?
Without objection, sure.
Okay.
Thank you for the presentation, first of all. Really appreciate it. I was hoping you could tell us a little more about the artist in residency program that was referenced in one of the bullet points.
Well, I'll talk a little bit, but then Patty might want to elaborate. We've been talking to artists as, actually we have our 6x6 coming up in the next week or two, so we've had, many artists come to us and deliver artwork. And they've been talking, that there's no place for them to go. And so we have talked to several of them, and we would hopefully like to have an artist in residency or open studio for artists to come in and stay with us and do workshops and do their trade.
Right, and then they would teach classes and do workshops as
Yes.
well. That would be the intention.
Yeah, they would teach workshop classes. Either design, jewelry making, or artists, art.
And the one last one I had. Sorry if you wanted to add to that.
Do you want to say?
Hi, I'm the other Patty. 342 Northeast, Patty McGuire.
No, you don't need an address.
So an artist in residence program works where one artist dedicates part of their time to go deeper into whatever subject matter. So for example, a fashion designer might teach how to make clothes, how to present clothes, and then how to promote a fashion show. We have the theater for it, we have the studios for it. Music artists in residence might have a weekly ensemble practicing so that they can, in other words, it's a place for artists to call their home, away from home without having to have a whole building as a studio. So it works on multi-levels, and it can be designed in many different ways, by months, by year, by project.
Great, thank you. And my one other question was about the culinary arts certifications. I remember, prior to 2021, that there was plans to be like a culinary school.
Mm-hmm.
How could you give me a little more detail on what that would look like?
Do you know about
Yeah, that was actually initiated brought up by our former mayor, and we had the facility, Deborah Dowd, incidentally. We had the facility there, but we needed to upgrade it. And each restaurant has the ability and capability to have certifications for their restaurant employees. And we thought this would be a great opportunity for them to gather together for our own restaurants, bring in their own chefs, get these certifications, and off they could go to our very own restaurants.
Great, thank you. I'll pass it off to my colleagues for now.
I'd
Oh,
like
sorry.
Sorry. There are people who need jobs, want jobs. There are restaurants and hospitality that are looking for qualified workers. And not everybody wants to go to college, not everybody wants to go to technical school, and we will have the ability to provide some kind of certification so that they can hit the ground running in the local service industries that are desperately looking for workers. And our young people have a place to train, and it could be subsidized with scholarships and also with the help of the restaurants. We have talked about that.
Yeah, it's a critical need right now. Thank you.
Mr. Mark? Good. No? Commissioner Burns?
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. Well thought out, and your long-term, short-term goals. I wanted to ask, does your plan include being open to outside vendors utilizing the facility, the classrooms?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had partners, of course, depending, how it goes forward, but we've rented, we've always partnered with other entities. Actually, in the last couple of years, we've partnered with the library for arts classes. We have partnered with the Achievement Center for the Steppers. We have partnered with the Cape with the Black History Month. I mean, these are things that we partner with, and these are people that we want to keep partnering with, so they would be able to come in and use the facility with us.
You also
And
referenced...
schools.
Okay, thank you. You referenced 2,200 full-time jobs. Can you explain that?
That is from the economic impact from 2015. They call it FTE. I'm the layman, but it's according to everything that we did. We created 2,200 full-time equivalent jobs with the economic impact that we did. Does that help?
That would be through the city, through the county.
Yeah.
That would be for production companies coming in, lighting companies, restaurants. I mean, it just goes on, and it's kind of a effect.
Okay.
Every time we had a big event, a concert, a theater production, the restaurants would be full, hotels would be full. People had to hire additional security, valet parking, etc. So jobs were created, and as our programming became more, routine or established or predictable, as the schedule went on, people hired full-time rather than temporary.
Okay. One last thing. You noted that the stage is not ready for a performance, but I thought I heard you say that you're ready to start in spite of?
It's not ready for professional Broadway shows.
Okay.
It is not ready. But we can bring in materials to make a fashion show. We can bring in our own sound systems. We can bring in our own lighting. We can bring our own electronics that we can use it for charrettes. We don't need, that would be easy for us to do. Lectures, children programming, but it cannot be professional Broadway show type.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
Commissioner Casal?
Well, we have an experience, so I guess I'm trying to decide as you stand here today what is going to be different going forward. And if you forgive me, when you're presenting this pile of audits and we're being told they're clean, I think we can all reference the material the CRA gave us. Now, I know, Mayor Carney, you requested access to the file. I don't think Mr. Markert, Mr. Long, or Ms. Burns had accessed the file, but there's a large binder of documentation with respect to the past. And I don't think, if we don't discuss it, then I don't see how you move forward. The
Point of order,
2020,
is this appropriate given our
100%.
settlement agreement with Old School Square?
yes, it's appropriate.
So respectfully, they have inserted themselves into this solicitation. I think it's up to the mayor to determine how far we can go into it, but remember, this is a procurement decision that
Right.
you would be essentially making, and our policies do allow for the commission to consider someone's past practice, how they performed a contract, and those types of things. So, but again, I would defer to the mayor on how much we're going to go into it today. But I don't think it's not relevant. But we also have some time.
I'll be
limitations.
brief, if you don't mind, Mayor, because
I-
I think when you say that this is a clean audit,
I
opens the door to the conversation.
I don't want to relitigate.
I'm not
what we did a couple
relitigating.
years
I'd
ago.
like to
So-
ask a few questions, which is, the CRA staff wrote 3 requests to you to explain why in the last audit your expenses registered at over $3 million, but the internal reports you provided had your expenses at $2.611. That was a difference of almost $1 million. 3 times requests were written to ask you what was the explanation for that difference, and we never got an answer.
I can tell you is that from 2004 to 2020, our CRA grants was no questions. We turned in all the paperwork.
Thank
That-
you.
That
Okay.
was
But
correct.
can you answer
So
that question? Why is there $1 million difference
I
in
don't
what your
have that.
auditor's
I'd have
numbers
to get
are and
back
what
to
your
you. I
internal
don't have that
numbers
information
are?
in front of me, and I don't want to give a wrong answer.
Okay.
I can tell you in 2021 that we were, for months, we were giving them information. They said they would look at it and they
Do you
would discuss
agree you
it.
were asked that question and it wasn't answered?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. That's good.
Vice Mayor.
The one audit.
I think what I'd like to do,
I just
is I'd
think
like to
you
move
can't say
forward.
there's a clean audit when our
We're not-
staff
I'm-
is saying otherwise.
We're trying to do
I totally agree. So I will
restart.
just go backwards to a couple things. We had an auditor produce a document that showed approximately 22 violations. They weren't small. Some of them were moving restricted funds into a general fund to show a dollar value that was higher than it actually was.
So I have a question based on that. When the lease was terminated in 2021, without warning or
Without
There was
or
ample
without
notice
or
that we were
without
having problems.
No, there wasn't. It wasn't even on the agenda that night. What was the cause? What was the cause stated by the commission at the time by you?
The commission does not have to give a cause if they want to
Okay,
terminate.
So right, there was no cause. So if that was cause for removal, you would have listed it as a cause.
We are stopping this conversation now.
Okay, we can,
I
but
don't
I
want to
would.
have to stop the meeting,
No.
so let's
Mayor,
stop this conversation.
Okay, no.
And stop that too.
I'm
Stop that, too.
entitled to present information that's relevant. You can't come in and say you had a clean audit when you have problems.
Just let's answer some pointed questions.
And that's right.
regarding
And a
this
990 says
application.
you're working on one cash basis and your reports say
understood.
accrual.
Okay.
It's problematic.
So you're finished?
We deal with the residents'
Okay.
finances. No, I'm going to reference our purchasing policy before I conclude. And I'll also pass around, if you don't mind, this email from our CRA director, which says their books didn't reconcile.
This is,
I have
something,
that.
I really am, I don't want to
So
go back to
I'm
where
not
we
going
were.
back. I
really
This
want
It
to
feels
move
like an effort
forward.
to justify your vote in 2021,
It's not
not
an
have a
effort to
fair
justify my
selection
vote.
process tonight.
Thank you. It's not. It's an effort to educate the residents who were informed that there were no financial problems. But I would just like to reference our purchasing policy for one moment, and then we can move forward if you don't mind. The city has the discretionary power to make determinations upon honesty and integrity of the bidder.
Okay,
Okay?
fine, thank you so much.
Past performance is relevant. Third-party affiliation, that would be the CRA, is relevant. And their desire and ability to cure. They've had years. They were sent numerous requests to cure and did
I
not.
think we're starting to, we're
Thank
not
you.
relitigating
I
this.
appreciate your time.
We're starting with a refresh to see what people can go do going forward. Big Bird said everyone makes mistakes.
That's,
I agree with
okay,
you.
stop. It's bigger than a mistake. It's a misuse
we
of taxpayer
handed
money.
I'm sorry.
What we handed out, thank you, Commissioners, what we handed out were firms that were independent that we hired to do the audits for us. We did not do the audits. We hired professionals to do the audits. When we say they're clean audits.
I don't want to go back through that audit history because I actually have pretty good knowledge of the audit history, and
Thank
you really don't want to go. I don't want to do this
Thank
discussion
you.
with you.
I just have one more question, and it's the elephant in the room. Can you tell me about the FBI investigation that occurred and what the findings were?
We've never been contacted by the FBI.
Thank you for asking that question.
We have no investigator has contacted anybody from Old School Square Center for the Arts concerning any investigation. A letter to the SBA does not mean there will be an investigation.
Yeah, that's factually incorrect, but okay.
But
If I
they
may?
have not reached out to us with any questions, and we're not under an investigation.
Mayor, I was questioned
We
in
have
that
not been
investigation.
contacted or asked any information, never got notice, nothing.
From any other federal agency?
Nope. Nope. I've been chairman since October 2021, and no, absolutely not.
Okay. I believe that to be factually incorrect based on my evidence.
Based
No.
on campaign propaganda, that's where I
Yeah,
heard it.
it's not.
Well,
That's also factually incorrect, Rob.
It's very hard to prove something that doesn't exist.
anyway, I just have one question. Really, I just have one question. When you're talking about, because I'm trying to keep to the arguments here. You are developing programs just for the Crest.
The Crest Theater building.
Crest Theater building.
Yes.
And are you including in that the pavilion, the amphitheater? No.
Well, no, this does not say the theater. It says the
No, I know.
Crest Theater building.
I'm just wanting to know the scope of what you're talking about.
I mean, is that something we possibly could
No,
do?
well, we'll get to that. I mean, I think there's different components here that have different expertise that's required to operate each of the different components. Is we're kind of my
proposal
view, and I
is-
think I've made that very clear on a number of occasions. So,
This is only for the Crest Theater building as requested.
thank you all very much for coming and making your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next presenter will be Windmill Theater.
Well, hello. Good afternoon. My name is Ian Gadapy, and can I hand these around to the commission? Thank you. We have printed versions of our presentation as well. My name is Ian Gadapy. I am the producing artistic director of Windmill Theater Company. We are currently an LLC, but we are in the process of organizing as a 501c3. We came up in a very quick way for theater companies. I founded this company during my time as an undergrad at Palm Beach Atlantic University, and I'd like to point out in our audience we have some members from PBA and from our community who came and supported us here at this meeting. What we are, one went quick. We do timeless theater in the Western tradition. And what this is the Western theatrical tradition is very unique in that it focuses on story. There are many, I don't know why this is going ahead, but there are many other theatrical traditions from around the world that focus on what's known as a raza, or a feeling, or an emotion, or a lesson. And Brecht kind of brought that into our theatrical tradition in the West, but we focus on our story and what that can bring and how that can unite a community, because while any other element may divide, we can always unite around a story and what we take from it. What we bring as a theater company, our primary demographic is between 18 and 35. And as many of you who have been to theaters down here know, that's kind of unique among theater companies. So we do bring in a younger clientele, and we have a unique mission as a theater company in that we do pitch-based theater. So we allow playwrights and creatives to come to us with the work that they want to create, and we engage our community in that way. As Andrew Lloyd Webber said this year, the American theater is dying, and our Broadway is in a concerned state for its future. And so what we want to do is we want to revitalize the old tradition of American theater and hopefully bring about a renaissance in Delray Beach. As far as our production history is concerned, we have been producing continuously since November of 2019, and we officially established in 2020, and we organized as an LLC in 2022. We've had 10 productions that were fully fledged productions, and we've reached over 3,300 people throughout the state of Florida with both found venues and what we called non-traditional theatrical spaces, as well as with our touring productions. If you go through your packets before you, as well as online, you can see some of our work. These are just some production photos that highlight our work. Going from left to right, we have our tour production of Sanctuary, our Orlando Fringe production of You'll Figure It Out Eventually, and our South Florida premiere, which was the Magnolia Chronicles. As well as we have some more photos from our work down here and our various tours, as well as some of our workshops. Moving on to education, because education is really the heart of the theater, and every major theater sustains itself through education. We have some unique initiatives with our Theater and Development Program, our partnership with Storymakers LLC, and our community engagement programs. To start off with our Theater and Development Program. Our Theater and Development Program works with young playwrights and new playwrights, as well as established playwrights, who are writing plays that are story first. It's very typical now, if you would like to get your play produced, you either must have a literary agent or you submit to a competition. And most competitions in the American theater scene are related to a given socio or political issue. And what this does is it creates theater that is tied to a time period, and we want to create timeless theater. And so if someone has a play that is timeless, they can come to us and say, this is the story of my play, this is what I would like to present, and if we determine that has artistic merit, if our board and honorary board determines that has artistic merit, we produce that play, and we give it a staged reading, we give it a workshop, and a time for the community to engage with the play and to be a voice of the art that they want to create. We are partnered, and we are in the process of partnering with Storymakers LLC that has reached over 250,000 students in the South Florida area and around the world. Their programming is based almost entirely of story theater performances for young audiences. Story theater is a specific genre of theater that does not use set or costumes, but rather invites the audience to imagine what is occurring on stage. Their programming aligns with the BEST, formerly the Next Generation Sunshine State Standards, and we would like to incorporate into the CREST Saturday morning matinees so that our community can bring their young children in and give them a chance to experience live theater that's made specifically for them. And these are some more production photos from Storymakers. If you'll look in the packet in front of you, as well as if you have a digital version of it, we also included an entire packet that it's called a study guide, and it goes out with each of the Storymaker shows, informing families and teachers how they can incorporate the show that they saw into their curriculum in the classrooms. And they have also been partnered with the Kravis Center for the Performing Arts since 2004. Our community engagement program works to create local stories for local audiences. And we've worked with some local cultural and educational institutions in our time up in Central Florida, as well as we've done our due diligence and reached out to a number of major organizations in the Delray area, including the Sandway House, Arts Garage. We've sent emails to the Historical Society of Delray Beach. And we're working to create Delray stories and put them on stage so that they can be interacted with in a unique way, because we believe that theater is a collaborative art form, and there is no such thing as theater by one or for one. It is a collaborative form. This is from The Night the Stars Were Close, which was a project that we worked on with the Chamber of Commerce of the city of Titusville for their 100th anniversary that centers around the Pritchard House, which is a historical home in Titusville, Florida. So this is an example of our community engagement program in practice that you can see. And this entire proposal is written out in the paper packet in front of you. We also try to do art galleries with every single one of our performances that allow for local artists to showcase their work and show how it connects to our theatrical programming to bring all of the 4 fine arts into one final performance. These are some testimonials from people in our community. We have people from every single organization that we could reach out to and that has interacted with our work. We have from Amy Hamill, who is a Broadway veteran and a professor of dance and a visiting lecturer of theater at Palm Beach Atlantic University. She says that having worked with Windmill Theater Company as a director, what I appreciate most are the opportunities that they provide for artists to collaborate and create, for audiences to witness and enjoy the art of theater and the beautiful exchange that happens between the two. What we are fundamentally is a programming company, and our goal is to use the Crest Theater, that beautiful historic venue, to create new theater and to create profound theater, because we believe that art begats art and theater begats theater. And so the more theater that you have in Delray Beach, the more theater that will come to Delray Beach. And the more that we can engage our community with good quality art that is new, that is exciting, and that has never been seen anywhere else, the stronger we can make Delray Beach as a community. So thank you very much for your time. I very much appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. With the permission of the council, may I please invite Don Butler, who is the LLC of Storymakers and an honorary board member of us, and Bethany Perrone, my production manager, up as well.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Would you like to go first?
Sure,
Commissioner
thank you so
Casal?
much. Yes, thank you. That was a nice presentation. I appreciate that. Thank you. And your enthusiasm. It's very nice. But you didn't talk at all about the classrooms.
Yes, so what we would like to do is in the future, we have already been talking with, and we would like to partner with the Boca Raton Museum of Art for them to fulfill and to utilize those classrooms while we focus on programming the theater space.
Interesting. So I don't know that we're in a position necessarily to talk about partnerships, but I imagine whoever's in there would probably welcome your productions here and there, and I'm certain we would as well in the city. Yes. Thank you.
Sorry to interject, but a great presentation. But is it appropriate to allow members of the selection committee to, collude with each other on a? I mean, I know this is an informal process, so I'm just trying to make sure we're above board here.
Who's colluding?
Well, they just referenced that they spoke with another another candidate for selection today. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're above board here with our process. I mean, I wasn't even allowed to meet with the Boca Arts Museum when I had a meeting set up because it could look like I had a bias.
That was a cone of silence.
Okay, I'm just trying to ensure that we're above board here, that's all.
So I would just say that when you deliberate, whatever you decide to do, I think everyone needs to stick to what their proposals were. And because that's just out of fairness, right? So I don't think that the commission should consider any partnerships. Obviously, if you do select somebody, they can always try to negotiate having partnerships, but as of today, I think they need to stick to whatever their proposals were,
right.
And that's what should be up for consideration.
And I commend you for looking to work with others on this as a partnership. Thank you.
If I may allow Don Butler to speak a little bit on the classrooms as well.
Hello, thank you. I'm here as the old guy. I do that very well. I have a lot of experience in the theater. I've been doing this stuff for like 50 years or more. Helped start a couple of major theaters, Actors Playhouse Miami, the Lyric Stage out in Dallas, two of the biggest musical theaters in the country now. And to answer your classroom question, I'm actually the guy who started Storymakers at the request of the Kravis Center to serve. To actually have teachers come and talk to us, let us know what they need, and we create something for them. And did that started in 2004, probably reached 300,000 maybe students so far, still at it. But this collaboration, I'm also on the board of Windmill, and that collaboration is solid and shouldn't be any problem at all, because we would just simply be a presenting arm. We're an LLC only because I didn't need to fund this since I was kind of set up with the Kravis Center anyway. So it was an overnight process to do an LLC rather than a 501c3. As far as the classroom situation goes, I have taught everywhere all the time, and part of what we do in Storymakers is engage kids and teach them in all kinds of things, matters. In fact, Story Theater, the form itself, was created as a vehicle for kids, to adults performing for kids, and it was so popular that Paul Sills, who was my mentor, took it to Broadway. Ran for 2 or 3 years with famous people in it, right? And so I think Disney, Warner Brothers, cartoons that are created for kids but also engage adults. And so that's the Story Theater piece. Also, I don't think that that Ian exactly explained it. All of this was new theater that he's talking about, but also theater in the Western tradition means the classical pieces too, stuff that is relevant, something that's timeless. It's not all just new work. New work is hard to get people to pay attention to, as Louis Tyrrell can tell you, and. He was probably trying to bring his audience along a little quickly, and they rebelled a bit, and so you have to do a mix. But we do want to foster new work. That's the point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Burns?
Yes. Thank you for your presentation. It was quite lovely, and that Storymaker sounds very exciting. After being an educator for the last 34 years, I am definitely an advocate for youth and education, but did I understand that your programs are targeted for ages 18 to 35?
No, that's just been our primary attendees.
Oh, because Delray's average age is 50.7 years.
Yes, we have definitely had older audience.
There's a place for you, but I'm not sure about these.
I'm too old for Delray.
So I'm saying this much to the chagrin of Bethany here, but we have had an audience of diapers to diapers. We have had anywhere from we've had kids.
Wait a minute, I can rule you out of order.
But we've had all ages. We have done even some of our shows, we've done dedicated senior audiences as well. So we are not confined to the 18 to 35 demographic. That's just one of the things that sets us apart, is that we have that as a theater.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes,
No
thank
other
you.
questions.
Commissioner Marker?
I'm good, thank you. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Commissioner Long?
Yeah, great presentation. And to clarify my comment on collaboration, I want anyone who we choose to be in this position to be open to collaboration. I think that's absolutely critical. I was only just making sure we were good, because I don't want any of our candidates tonight advocating for another candidate who's up tonight just for the sake of fairness. I just want to make sure.
Absolutely.
That's the only reason I brought it up. Wasn't trying to single you guys out. It was a great presentation. My question is, given the state of the theater currently, it doesn't have copper wiring in it. It needs a lot of upgrades. Would you guys be able to do anything right away with the state that it's in until we can, make those upgrades?
So the theater currently is not in the state to present theater. The space is not. It needs sound, it needs lighting equipment, just to even get enough light on the stage that an audience in the house could see what's occurring. You can't really effectively light a play well with floodlights. They tried it with Arthur Miller's View from the Bridge. It didn't go well. But we do have some limited theatrical equipment that we could bring in, and we could do several story theater pieces in the meantime. But to get up to full production, we need to know what the city is committed to restoring that building, or what we need to bring in, and identify a strategy to do that. To have a strategy to bring in today would be highly speculative, and we didn't think that would be beneficial. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for your presentation. And I love the Windmill Theater. I'm actually a former trustee of the Palm Beach Atlantic University, and I know your program. I know that you guys do great work up there, and I think it's great.
Thank you.
Regardless, and I'm going to echo something that Commissioner Casal said. Regardless of who's ultimately chosen, I do hope they look at you as as for some of the content that needs to be run out of that theater, because the concept of Delray Stories is a great idea, and local and new product is a great idea, and your enthusiasm is fantastic.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you all for coming and making your presentations today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up is the Boca Raton Museum of Art.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. My name is John Dupre. I'm a resident of Delray Beach and CEO of Insparix, the company that operates on the top floor of the IPIC Theater building just off Federal and Atlantic. As a art lover, when I moved here 10 years ago, I promptly joined the closest accredited art museum, which is the Boca Raton Museum of Art. I served on the board there for the last 8 years and became chairman of the museum just a few weeks ago. So I feel a little bit like the skunk at the garden party here, having come to this meeting. But let me just assure you right off the bat that we are just a bunch of people who love art and would love to see it supersede politics.
Right.
And get some programs to our kids. So I'm here on behalf of the museum to apply to operate an art school in the Crest Theater building. To be precise, what we are asking for is a 3-year commitment to operate an art school in all of the space of the Crest Theater building at Old School Square, except the theater itself. The theater remains unrenovated in that it has no sound systems, it has no lighting, it has no technology. So it's too early to know exactly how that will be deployed. In that it's currently not usable, we would respectfully suggest the Commission table consideration of it until such time there is something to manage. At that time, we'd be happy to work with the city to formulate plans to reactivate the theater space in due course. Thereafter, we would welcome a management role. Our agenda today is the art school. The museum has operated an art school on Palmetto Park Road for decades. Indeed, we're the only museum in South Florida that from its earliest years focused on art instruction as well as having a museum. The facility is fully equipped, has a full-time professional staff, has some 50 adjunct faculty members, and 5,000 student registrations. On an annual basis, students that range in age last year from 6 to 96. The art school attracts students from Boca, Delray, as well as Boynton, Deerfield, Highland Beach, and elsewhere. It is a very vibrant arts community. Unfortunately, the building that houses the art school is 60 years old and needs to be replaced. We are looking for a new home. In contrast to our situation, Delray has a beautifully renovated art school space at Old School Square, but no equipment, no full-time staff, no faculty, and no students. Since we have all those things in abundance, and in the here and now, the businessman in me sees like there's a logical connection here. We can have the art school up and running here in a matter of months. The building has been dark for too long. We would call the school the same thing as we call it now, the art school. Not the Boca Raton Art School, not the Delray Art School, not the Old School Square Art School, simply the art school. It would make a nice complement to the Arts Garage and the Arts Warehouse here in downtown Delray. Reopening the school quickly, as we propose, would reanimate Old School Square in a way that the episodic performance events cannot, by injecting a vibrancy that thousands of students using the facility would bring to the downtown core of Delray. So let me now turn over the floor to our Executive Director of the Museum, Irvin Lippman, to briefly describe what the program would look like.
Thank you, John. Commissioners, I'm Irvin Lippman, Director of the Boca Raton Museum of Art. First, I would like to emphasize that this program will be administered from Delray Beach, with staff, many of whom already live here, working on-site and interfacing with the community. We would begin immediately with new classes and specialized workshops for adults and youth in painting, drawing, jewelry, photography, printmaking, and ceramics, all providing the opportunity for lifelong learning and personal growth. We would start classes 7 days a week, scheduled at various times to accommodate audiences with different needs, such as working adults and families with children in school. Scholarship support would be available for children and teens with financial need, and some workshops would be free. The staff administering such a program is in place and would transfer seamlessly to the Delray Beach location. We employ 50 adjunct art instructors, again, many of whom already live here. We would look to have an artist in residence, as well as expand our stable of teaching artists to provide further offerings in other disciplines. We have already received requests as diverse as ukulele and swing dance lessons to classes in digital media and recording podcasts. We offer early childhood, family, and youth programs headed by a team of experienced educators. We anticipate a robust set of learning programs to launch in Delray Beach shortly after we would take occupancy. This facility can and should be a magnet for area schools. We have a long history of collaborating with the Palm Beach County School District, Spady Cultural Heritage Museum, Milagro Center, Literacy Coalition, and the county libraries. For adult learners, the museum curates a variety of performances, film screenings, lectures, panel discussions, yoga classes, wine tastings, and travel programs. With the future addition of the Crest Theater, we can further enhance these vibrant programs to include more music, dance, and theater. It is a perfect venue to host talks and readings featuring prominent authors, actors, and thought leaders. We are eager to collaborate with artists at the Arts Warehouse, Arts Garage, and the many galleries here in Delray Beach to ensure that the Center for Creative Arts remains current, topical, and local. And I haven't yet mentioned how the state-of-the-art kitchen fits well within our culinary aspirations. Your facility provides an excellent opportunity for chef dinners, lunch and learn programs, wine tastings, and even programs for adults and youth eager to expand their culinary skills. Even before the Crest Theater is completed, the dining area can easily be turned into a cabaret or provide a space for such community building programs as the Knight Foundation's Seat at the Table, where the act of sharing a meal has the power to break down barriers within our community. Regarding the Crest Theater, we look forward to partnering with the many performing arts organizations in desperate need of a theater of this quality, including, we would hope, the Windmill Theater. Through collaboration and by combining museum-generated programs, partnerships with local and national arts organizations, and rental opportunities, the Crest Theater and Art School will become a dynamic hub of cultural activity, offering a diverse range of programs catering to all interests and ages. Additionally, we will promote physical and mental health and well-being through wellness programs and initiatives that dovetail with Delray's Green Market, Cocoa Market, and its other offerings. One exciting opportunity I would like to explore is establishing a homeroom in this former high school, a place dedicated to conversation and community engagement. Here we see partnerships with local institutions such as the Historical Society. Perhaps the first homeroom display and topic would be one suggested by Winnie Edwards called Art in Delray Beach, from the artist colony days of the 1920s to the present. In addition to our professional staff in the Education Department and Art School, we also have experienced staff in our curatorial, development, marketing, and special events offices. Registration and ticketing services are already in place. Our finance office keeps tight reins on our budgeting, and our auditing firm, Eisner Amper, ensures us we are compliant in serving the public. We are on the cusp of celebrating our 75th anniversary, so we bring the strength of an established arts organization and decades of success. Our seasoned staff and professional art instructors and educators are ready to continue delivering high-quality programs. Paired with Delray Beach's investment in this location, its vibrant and growing community, and its desire to strengthen its position as a leading art center in South Florida, we are confident in the success of this partnership. So on behalf of our staff and Board of Trustees, we appreciate your consideration of our continued interest in maintaining community access to arts programming in Delray Beach and Palm Beach County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you have 48 seconds left. You don't want to use them? Commissioner Long.
So first, I'll still go back to my earlier comment. First of all, great presentation. Thank you guys for coming in. But I would have preferred it had the candidates tonight not advocated for other candidates who were under consideration this evening. Otherwise, maybe it would have made more sense to present as a combined applicant. That may have been more fair. Other than that, that was my only issue with the presentation. But my question is, you referenced being able to get the art classes off the ground in a matter of months. What does that timeline look like a little more specifically, just so we have kind of align our expectations?
I think just as soon as we can agree on the agreement between ourselves and you. But yes, we have staff that is ready, and it looks like the classrooms are ready to go. I think the one space that would have to be worked on would be ceramics, because that would need a kiln. But sure. Otherwise, I think the rest of the spaces are ready to go. Certainly the kitchen, which I commend you on, is certainly ready to have cooking classes.
Great, thank you.
Could you just expand on that last comment about the culinary piece? I was fascinated by that. Can you just give me a little more color around that?
Well, the museum already invites guest chefs for our various dinners. We've had guest chefs from Ecuador, from Chile, from Colombia this last year. And we also offer wine tastings. We have lunch and learn programs already at the museum. So I can imagine there are many ways to use this facility. And the space that's next door to it is perfect for an evening celebration. And I can imagine, with all this being a very foodie town, to invite chefs in from the various restaurants and having guests of 10 to 20 who would enjoy an evening in this facility.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Great presentation, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Commissioner Casal?
Sure. Thank you so much. You know, I'm enthusiastic. I've been vocal about my support for the Boca Museum, as I've frequent the museum. I've always appreciated the museum. I wanted to just point out to my fellow commissioners that the last time you approached us for consideration, we received a letter from the Cultural Arts Council recommending you. And so I would like to note that, because I don't know that I can't find the letter, but you came with high regard.
Yes.
Also want to thank you for reaching out to our partners in the city. That's so important to us in Delray Beach, that we work together and that our partners are appreciated and feel like they're part of the process, and also feel like they can walk in the door at any time and feel welcome. So I want to thank you, because I know you did that, and that was going above and beyond. I like the idea of scholarships. I appreciate that, and I think our residents will as well. And the homeroom idea is brilliant. So thank you so much for the presentation.
Commissioner Burns.
Yeah, I just have one question. Thank you for your presentation, and seeing that you had interest prior, what was the delay in expressing your interest this time? Why the application so late, or the interest at this late?
Yeah, well, our earlier interest 2 years ago was for the Cornell, because the Crest Theater building was not near completion, and there was an unknown date for that to be done. And so we did not approach this body for the Crest Theater at that time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Couple quick questions. I want to piggyback a little bit off of what Commissioner Long said. I mean, if I had a contract here for you today to sign, would you be able to do art classes in June?
We could.
Okay.
According, we
30 days.
I mean,
30 days from signing.
Okay, so it's 30 days from signing the contract. That gives me a timeline. I've always been reluctant to have Main and Main not be run by Delray Beach. I'll be honest with you. That said, I think there's a lot of expertise, and I think I've been on record all the time saying we have a lot of components here that can be run by a lot of different people that are better experts in the other. And one thing I learned today is that some people are experts in one thing and really not in the other. But would you be? You said you need 3 years. Would this be something you would do on a trial basis just for this summer?
I don't think you can amortize the cost of setting up.
Right.
Well, you got a building. It's, as you rightly pointed out, is all ready to go, with a kitchen all ready to go.
I think it's the moving and the marketing expenses to get it started would be, I think it would be more than a summer's venue. Yeah.
There's also a disruptive effect here on the current folks. You're not the only mayor who's considering this matter.
I welcome you to take the best deal you can.
Well,
If I may,
Mayor of Boca Raton is unhappy that we're even here.
Well, he's a good guy. He's a friend of mine, and
And so
I'm having lunch with him in 2 weeks.
If we're going to move, we need to move.
Mayor,
We can't move
if I
halfway.
may, I'm happy you're here, but if I may, a lot of the gentlemen and ladies affiliated with this organization both live and have businesses in Delray Beach. And they're currently donating their money and their time to an organization in Boca. You're just bringing Delray to Delray. It's
Mr. Dupre and I have
Thank
known
you.
each other, and I've been to his office, and before the campaign. By the way, this was in real life. In real life, I have a life outside of the commission, so I know. I mean, the half of their board.
Pointing
Adam
that out for
Banker
the
is
audience.
my accountant. It's a trust guy. So I know most of your board.
Thank you.
But yes, I do know. I am aware of that.
Thank you.
But that doesn't solve my question.
No,
because
I just don't think it's practical to do it halfway. We either move or we don't. And could we do some extension classes here or something without shutting down the current art school? Probably. I don't know. We'd have to talk about it.
because I'm trying to reach, because I ultimately don't know what the configuration is going to look like at Old School Square. I don't know who's going to be running which part of Old School Square, and I don't want to tie in too long of a period for any one component when I don't know how ultimately who's going to be the ultimate operator of that component. That's really where I'm going. So
We have a 5-year current contract with the DDA, and I know what you said before, but I'm just saying we have a 5-year contract.
Right.
you give a 3-year contract to them, then you've got some breathing room. You have success in the city if you open up those classrooms, Mayor. It will be
I'm
big deal
confident
for
that I
you.
can deal with the DDA when it comes time to
Right.
dealing with contract terminations as well. Okay, I appreciate both your time.
Good.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
both your time.
Next up is the Taste, History, Art, and Culture Study Tours.
What is it? Oh, taste history art. Oh.
This is the clicker? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, the top is forward.
The top is, if you hold it down.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Lori J. Durant. I'm a native and resident here in Delray Beach, Florida. And I'm excited to present to all of you, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm delighted as a native child of Delray Beach. So I'm happy to share with you about my program. And this is the Taste, History, Art, and Culture Study Tours. I did respond to your request for letters of interest. So I have been doing tours. Let me make sure I'm forwarding correctly here. Under nonprofit 501c3, I have been conducting tours since 2004. Starting in Delray Beach with the narrated bus tours of historic Delray Beach. So those are the first regular narrated bus tours of historic Delray Beach and the first regular ones offered in the county. So the mission with that tour was to highlight the multicultural history of Delray Beach, some of our emerging historic districts, and introducing people to historic districts, art areas, and visiting historic buildings, traveling through areas by way of bus. And with that particular tour, it became immensely popular, and to date we've hosted over 15,000 people. It was initially offered monthly, then it became weekly as well, and it was constantly sold out. So that tour evolved. We evolved from the narrated bus tours of historic Delray Beach in response to the audience of people who took the tour. They said, we love Delray Beach. Take us to some of the other cities. Take us to some of the other counties. So it expanded and it grew. And we always had a school field trip component as well. And I refer to it as curriculum infusion. So taking the curriculum strands and infusing it with the experience that they're having on our tour program. So they're learning about history tied to a particular historic building they may be visiting in this city or some other place in Palm Beach County. So the tours continue to grow, continue to evolve, hugely successful, and then we added a culinary component. Prior to us adding the food component, we would also have lunch. When people would take the tour, they would say, where can we eat? Where can we eat? So for some of our tours, we would produce a list of restaurants in Delray Beach as places where people could go and patronize that particular locally owned business. In addition to that, we got a lot of private tour requests for our narrated bus tours of historic Delray Beach, and we would incorporate lunch as well. So they would have the art experience, learning the history of Delray Beach, about our early settlers, about Florida history, about our black settlers, our German settlers, our Bahamian settlers, and then we would conclude with patronizing a local restaurant, generating an economic benefit in addition to our tour guests becoming familiar with our foundational history here in Delray Beach. So moving forward again, we had COVID-19. And last year, we decided to relaunch our tours. We were shut down, of course, because of COVID-19. A lot of our partners had restrictions. We had also evolved to have food tastings infused with visiting emerging arts districts, local art shops, and tastings at family-owned restaurants. And again, we've always incorporated a school field trip component and educational component. So post-COVID-19, we have carved out our taste history culinary tours, our narrated bus tours, as its own 501c3. That's the Taste History Art and Culture Study Tours. Our interest in the Crest Theater, and we have included Old School Square campus, we've taken tours to the Green Market since our inception. So with this new path forward with the Crest Theater, our intent is to partner with the operator, continuing to include Old School Square campus, including the Crest Theater, developing programming that would tie into the beautiful new commercial kitchen that has now been added to the Crest Theater. We're very impressed with the expertise of the Boca Raton Museum of Art. I'm also excited about the emerging Windmill Theater. These are all opportunities for us to develop a taste, history, art, and cultural study tour that would tie with those particular partners, with the Boca Raton Museum of Art being the primary operator and manager of the campus. When we launched the Taste History Culinary Tours, we did receive funding from the late Iris Apfel. That is the study tour that we launched as its own freestanding 501c3 organization. And we've hosted tours for some of our debutantes. We've also done tours for the South Tech Culinary Academy. Now, the South Tech Culinary Academy is part of the school district of Palm Beach County, and those students come from all over. They are residents in Delray Beach. They came out of Plamosa School of the Arts. They came from Village Academy. They came from Carver High School. They are some of our students who are in the Culinary Arts Academy. So again, we've taken their curriculum and we've infused it with our taste, history, art, and culture study tours. So they're learning about the multicultural Florida history and also our agricultural history. And for one of our trips, we actually took them to a sweet corn farm in Belglade, and then that farmer donated sweet corn. We align it with the curriculum strands and the benchmark, so as students are taking the tour, they can connect it with a state of Florida curriculum strand as it relates to Florida history, American history, Black history, agricultural history. All of that is a part of the overall program booklet that is actually given to students who take the tour. And we infuse into that food, and specifically focusing on multicultural food. You can take one dish and share 500 years of Florida history. And we highlight Floridian cuisine. Floridian cuisine, it's Bahamian, it's Jamaican, it's Cuban. And as settlers came to this area, you also had the spread of their food. So you can tell the history of Florida, the history of Palm Beach County, the history of Delray Beach from one plate of food. And we infuse all of that as a part of the experience on the tour. This is a most recent art and culture study tour that we hosted in Palm Beach County. And how do I get my video going? Okay, great. Thank you.
In Boca Raton, a Black History Tour is attracting visitors across South Florida while looking into the community's agricultural past.
And it's gotten the recognition of, among others, lawmakers in Tallahassee. WPTV News Channel 5's Arthur Mondale takes you to the Pearl City neighborhood, seeing a resurgence of interest.
That's the song, so look where he brought me from. This is the 10th year the Retirees, Seniors, and Friends Travel Club out of Miami has traveled to Palm Beach County for a lesson on history.
Only Black community east of Dixie Highway.
I'm very proud of who I am. No one else should be telling our story the way we should be telling our story.
And Pearl City is one of those historic Black neighborhoods.
Designated a historic district in 2002 by Boca Raton City Council, the neighborhood attracted families migrating for work.
Coming out of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and the island of the Bahamas.
Our first stop, the 101-year-old Ebenezer Baptist Church, a communal center that still stands.
Your opportunity that you stand on is the opportunity that you have to make. And when you make it and you stand on it because that's your foundation.
It's the same sermon at Macedonia AME Church.
Write your story.
Our next stop was the Boca Raton Museum of Art. The exhibit, The Tree of Knowledge, constructed of newspapers, pays homage to a banyan tree that still stands in the neighborhood, old and symbolic.
The richest area here is right here.
But don't expect for somebody to give you something that you haven't worked for.
In this letter, Congressman Ted Deutsch called Pearl City a pioneering community for Black Floridians that must not be forgotten. He also expressed gratitude to the people who took today's tour, thanking them for diversifying South Florida's diverse narrative. Arthur Mondale, WPTV, News Channel 5.
I would like to wrap it up with the bow.
I'm Nicole Hopkins.
30 seconds.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So that was a news story about a Black travel club from the Miami-Dade, Broward County area. So for 10 years annually, I hosted them on a Black History Month tour. They started with the Delray Beach tour, and we would have lunch, we would have breakfast, or we would have dinner at Donnie's Southern Restaurant on Northwest 5th Avenue in the historic Black Business District. If their tour went to Belle Glade, we would drive back to Delray Beach for Donnie's. So that was consistent for 8 years. So I have taken them to a different city, a different county for 10 years straight. As a result of COVID-19, of course, that has not yet resumed, but we did go up to 10 years, and our last one being in Pearl City, but we started in Delray Beach.
Thank you very much, Ms. Durant.
Okay.
Now, questions from the commission?
Yes.
Mr. Long.
All right, we got our great presentation, Ms. Durant.
Thank you.
Although I feel like I've heard some of it somewhere before, weirdly. This is our third presentation for the Windmill Theater and Boca Arts Museum tonight. Which I find inappropriate. So I have to ask you, Ms. Durant, the tours seem great, but what's your plan for the Crest Theater and for art classes? Is there anything? Because I didn't really hear a lot about that. I heard about the tour company, which would be a great addition to that. But this meeting is about what we're doing with Crest Theater specifically. And I didn't hear much from your organization about what you, it seemed like it was contingent on two specific other organizations who are here tonight.
Right. So I wanted to provide an introduction of what the Taste History Tour is. So that's as much as I was able to go into within the 10 minutes. But we would incorporate the Crest Theater into the tour program. The possibilities are limitless. You have a great commercial kitchen. So we can also incorporate into the overall tour program commercial kitchen activities, food tastings, chef demonstrations. That would be a part of the experience for someone experiencing our Taste History Tour. It would be by way of programming. Yes. You're welcome.
Commissioner Marker.
That was a great presentation. How do you envision these partnerships working?
Well, I can tell you now, we've already been doing partnerships since 2004. As a case in point, if there is a particular theme that the museum may have, the Boca Raton Museum of Art may have, or Windmill Theater may have, we can also segue that theme into the Taste History Tour as well. In addition to the school field trips, we also do the tours for adults. But let's say it's a student tour, we could then align the curriculum or the Florida strands, the benchmarks, to fit a particular theme. And some of the partnerships is just a matter of bringing the audience there. The Taste History Tour has that captive audience, a new audience to bring to the Crest Theater because it's a historic treasure as well. It's its own historic monument that can be toured as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Burns.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Really enjoyed that.
You're welcome.
Wish I had taken one of your tours. And I did hear you say that your position on this would be to partner with the operator. And I just does that work with any other partners other than the Windmill and the Boca Museum? That's not funny. I'm serious.
Right.
Does your program work with any other vendors?
Well, the program has always worked with other organizations that we have partnered with, over a dozen of them. But what is specific to this presentation tonight, they are the ones who are among the entities who are presenting to you. So the Historical Society of Delray Beach, the Historical Society of
Whatever.
the county, Boca
Got
Raton,
it.
Spading Museum. Those partnerships have been there since 2004, but they're not among the entities that are presenting tonight.
I get it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Commissioner Casal.
No questions. Thank you. That was an interesting presentation. Every time you're in front of us, I learn something new about you.
Okay, great. Thank
Very
you.
exciting.
I think it's a great presentation, and I think you have such value you add to the city, and we've known each other a long time, and your dad was a friend. And while I think you will be a great compliment to whoever
Right.
is chosen to run whatever facet of the campus they're being chosen to run, I haven't really seen anything about what you're saying you could bring in other than you're here to complement or to enhance anybody that's ultimately there. Is that?
It would be programming. The Taste History Tour is a program, so the Crest Theater would be incorporated into that programming.
So the
But-
Crest Theater would essentially add you as part of their programming.
The possibilities are limitless. I'm not asking to operate the Crest Theater, but what I am stating is that with the operators that I have stated, I would definitely be open to partnering with them. But the partnerships are limitless as to what can actually be done. And you have a beautiful commercial kitchen, and there's so many things that can be done educationally for students, and also some demonstrations with some of the adult tours. So a tour would come, okay? That tour would learn about the history of Old School Square. They would learn about the history of Crest Theater. They may also do a hands-on arts activity. They may then segue into the kitchen and have a culinary experience as a part of touring overall Delray Beach.
I certainly think you'll be a valuable ingredient when this thing gets up and running again to bring what you want to bring to Old School Square.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
The final presenter will be 27 Productions.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, for having me. I just want to take a note to thank Mr. Long. Although I was not offended in any way or felt mistreated, I do appreciate the sentiments of respecting people that give their time and care about the city. I want to thank all the other presenters who also care enough to want to enhance and better the city of Delray. My name is Blake Ian. I live across the street from 27 Productions. I walk my dog in Old School Square Park 3 times a day with a bag in my hand.
Are you kicking out?
I mean, I have to clarify because not everybody does that. So, we look at this, historic venue that we all know is this beautiful landmark and is approaching 100 years, and we're looking towards the next 100 years and where we're going to go with this, and how we can shine a light and also bring new light to it. Just to quickly tell you who we are, myself, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I founded several companies. I have raised well over $25 million for startups. I'm very, very familiar with taking something from day one, from an idea, and knowing what it means to wear 20 hats and get it done and not go to sleep until it gets done. Some of my startups that I've been a founding partner in include Moke America, which is those cute little cars you see. Delray is a great market for us. I've been involved in the Windwood Walls art community. I've partnered with the Windwood Walls, with the Goldman family, the artist Peter Tunney for the last 12 years. And I've also been in the music industry since I'm 19 years old. My first startup was a music production label, which still carries the name 27 Productions. Chris Cope is one of my partners, and he's a touring professional musician for the last 15 years. He's a native here as well. He has worked with some of the largest promotion companies in the world, like AEG and Live Nation, who bring these acts to the biggest venues around the country. He's experienced management, ticketing, promotions, all of that inside and out. Cindy Petnaro is our third partner. She's very well versed in development, construction, renovations, architecture. Her and her family actually restored the courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware, that was built in 1914. She also is a local business owner of Otho Wellness Center and a 501c3 foundation located on the same address. So that's who we are. Right now, the three of us, were looking at this opportunity that already exists in the music industry, separate from the opportunity with Crest Theater. So what we've seen is that between Orlando and Fort Lauderdale, and in Chris's experience working with these promoters and talent buyers, is that there's actually a hole, and Delray is maybe more prime than you know to fill this gap and this need for music venues of these particular sizes. And the bands that are coming through, they need these stops. So we had actually already been looking for locations while I lived 100 yards away from one. And when this came about, it was sort of just one of those magic moments that I've seen happen in very successful ventures. It's what my great-grandmother would call beshert, or meant to be in Yiddish. And so that we were very excited to take this opportunity and bring it to the Crest Theater in Delray. Our vision and mission is really to align with, most importantly, to align with the City Commission, to align with the other organizations, which I will not mention by name because I haven't spoken to any of them, but to align with the DDA, because I attended a meeting about a week ago just to learn more, and everybody, it seems unanimous that everybody seems to think they've done a wonderful job. I certainly think so. I've actually done some events, and I've performed on that stage at the amphitheater. They do a wonderful job. We would like to build on the amazing impact. I believe it was over $5 million of economic impact they cited. To build on that impact while reducing and very quickly removing the budget and the burden of the budget from the city's books, and become a profitable, self-sustaining venture. Some of the ways we could do that, and I can answer more in detail just to respect everybody's time. Some people probably at least have to go to the bathroom, if not go home. These events, obviously, these concerts, these singer-songwriters, these bands and performers and artists that we have access to through AEG. We've already had meetings with them, and I can speak more to that. As I said, we were preparing to open a music venue already. Certainly utilizing the classrooms, because when we went in there to look at the theater, we said, what are these rooms? Like, this is amazing. So I have personally attended and organized professional conferences when I was very involved in the technology scene from 2010 to 2016. And I've even organized conferences with the United Nations and breakout sessions. And those rooms are just prime for that. And that brings in a lot of tourism and a lot of economic impact. VIP experiences, using the dining spaces that people have mentioned, bringing in, I've spoke to some local businesses about bringing in their chefs and having them create VIP experiences for concert ticket holders, then package deals and that type of situation, which can really lift revenue. And just generally putting a spotlight on the landmark of Delray and the theater. Operationally, we have already attracted the talent of a manager of a Live Nation venue in Virginia called the Jefferson. Right now he operates a venue of the exact same size. He understands ticketing, promoting, working directly with Live Nation, bringing in these bands, making sure that seats are filled and the stage is filled with talent. He is eager to relocate to South Florida from Virginia because his girlfriend lives here, and he is ready to come on board and work with us. And then, of course, the promoter partnerships, which I've mentioned a couple of times, so I won't repeat. Engaging with the community. We've gone around since we got excited about the idea of working with the city of Delray. We've spoken to Dupree Jackson. I don't know if anybody's here familiar with him, but he's doing some wonderful after-school activities with children, with youth. Just having them learn and the process of putting on a concert or putting on events and work with them and give them activities and new skills. And again, just engaging with local businesses. I also do want to include that one of my businesses, one of my newest investments and partnerships is in a local Delray health and wellness shop as well. Economic model, again, just the sake of redundancy, we've talked about a lot of those items, concerts, partnerships. We also do very much intend to, like I said, remove the burden through funding and support. It includes donations, it includes VIP memberships and Founders Club, which is something I've done in other venues in New York, and it also includes capital investors and shareholders who will, just write a check, for lack of a better term, as well as sponsorships. I did leave the sponsorships blank because I was not sure what I'd be able to mention, and I'm glad I got to go last. I've worked with Fortune 500 brands for the last 20 years. And once we have a partner like AEG to bring in real talent, sponsorships are not that heavy of a lift. facility enhancements, it's very important to us just in general, again, to work with everybody, all organizations that have presented, the city, the DDA, have this be a smooth transition, and just make sure that everything we put into the city remains in the city. That's also a big part of what we intend to do. So if we enhance the buildings with production and lighting and all these things that we intend to do, we live here. So we'd be very happy to, beyond us being the stewards of that property, have the benefit of what we've done, live here in Delray, where we live. Oh, I hit the backwards button. It stopped working. What happened? Oh, okay. Now it's catching up with me. Beyond the Crest Theater, next one. So, as we all know, and I won't speak to this because it seemed like maybe it's not the appropriate time or place, but we certainly are interested in the other properties there as well, and bringing artists. As I said, I've worked in Wynwood for over a decade with some of the biggest street artists in the world. I've personally sold several millions of dollars of artwork. I have personal relationships with these artists. I think bringing them up here to Delray to do shows and exhibitions could bring a tremendous amount of, and it's a nice stop on the way from Palm Beach down to Miami to be able to see, world famous artists and not have to take the entire Brightline trip. And that's about it. I'm happy to answer any questions. Just gonna, since I have a minute, I'm gonna check my notes and make sure that I didn't miss anything. But once again, for us, it's a matter of collaboration. I think it's. If I can quote my favorite TV show, we live together, die alone. Division is the enemy of progress. And so we're really only interested, or I can speak for myself, I'm really only interested in this project as a collaboration with everybody in this room and its residents, of which I am one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Casal.
Thank you. That was a lovely presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Question, do you have any experience running a school? We view this as a place where art classes will occur.
Sure.
And what you were talking about is slightly different, although I think I appreciate the need.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my curiosity is, are you really someone who would probably benefit from just the Crest Theater versus the whole building? Because running an art school is
for sure. I was not aware that specifically art school is the desire of the commission or the town. So if it certainly does not concern me in any way.
But do you have any experience in that regard?
Specifically with school, I mean, as I said, I've organized breakout sessions and conferences for women around the world to start to be entrepreneurs, or the effect on blockchain on poverty in the world. I've done that in partnership with the United Nations with several thousands of people. I've done that several times, organized those people into breakout sessions and 5-6 day long conferences. So it would not worry me to take on an art school, but we also have other ideas to utilize those those rooms.
Right.
If that's, I wasn't aware that was the only use case that this town was interested in.
I think from my perspective, it's the primary use.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I love that idea. Every charity on my books is overwhelmed with children's charities. Smile Train, St. Jude's, those are my go-to charities when I raise money. So children is very important to me. So I would love to run a school along that classroom for sure. Like I said, with the youth organization that Dupree Jackson, that is in essence a type of school.
Thank you.
Commissioner Burns.
Yeah, no questions. I just want to say thank you for your presentation. I think you answered the question that I had, which was, have you talked to Laura Simon of the DEA? And I think you said you have.
Yes, for sure. We've worked and done events there with Laura and with Suzanne and Maruska, and I go to all Maruska's shows because I'm an art lover. And again, important that we keep this as a smooth transition and nothing abrupt, because that creates a lot of lost time and opportunity, and there's already a lot of solid foundation there. So very happy to transition, work with them. Again, collaboration is key for us.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
Yeah, just to play on what Julie asked, would you envision that classroom work being done by your organization, or is that something you, don't yell at me, Rob, that you'd contemplate partnerships on?
Well, we've had in-depth conversations with the Windmill Theater. No, I'm just kidding. I think that's something that we certainly can run. As I said, we've had a team put together. We did plan to have workshops and classes at the. I made Commissioner Long laugh. I'm just going to go home happy. We did have that in our plans to incorporate classes, workshops, education in the theater, and not necessarily as a school. But I would be excited at that opportunity for sure, and just make sure, like most projects, we want the right experts to be on our team. So it may not be me personally or Chris personally, but within our team for sure.
Yep, that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just once again, great call, a really good presentation. Really appreciate it. I actually don't have any questions, but I wanted to just looking at the time, we only have 6 minutes. We're not really going to have any chance to have a discussion at all about this. I don't feel comfortable making a vote without us having a discussion as a commission here. Is it possible to punt that until commissioner comment after the meeting, since it's a consensus item anyway? Is that possible? Just because I don't want to have a rush conversation where we each get like 30
Can't
seconds.
We delay
to
our
talk.
meeting and allow them.
I don't know if we can delay our meeting. If we can, that would be better. I just don't know if we can do
delay
that.
the start of our meeting.
You can go either way.
Oh, okay. Then if we can delay the start, then I have no issue. I didn't know we could do that.
We don't have any time certain things on the agenda, so.
And one of the ordinances is getting removed, so you have plenty of time.
The last ordinance is being removed.
All good.
Thank you.
The last ordinance on the agenda is being removed.
Right.
Great. But I actually agree. Do you
Thank
have any
you.
other comments? Yeah. All right, so I guess my comment to you.
Sorry, I wasn't sure.
That's quite all right. You're primarily, AEG is a great company. You're from the West Palm Beach office up there?
No. Well, Chris's relationship, you're talking about with AEG?
Yeah.
No, that's just through our relationships as professional musicians and
yeah, because they're great promoters. They operate a lot of venues and they get a lot of talent.
For sure.
But the theater itself, I'm not sure how. Clearly the pavilion is right up your alley and that kind of stuff's right up here. But the theater you view also as a potential for a music venue?
Yeah, absolutely.
How would you do that? Is it what?
Currently, it's 329 seats, I believe.
Right.
So, that type of theater can certainly host some touring singer-songwriters and some acts that can sell pretty nice tickets, and also from concession, beverages, merchandise, things like that can certainly turn a profit. So 329 is a workable theater. With a promoter like AEG, you're absolutely correct, and it's an astute point to say that an AEG or a Live Nation
well, they're partnering with you. You're partnering with you. You're getting talent. That's
it's done deal. Yeah, exactly. I think they certainly they sway towards a 500 plus for that type of room.
That's why that's where I'm getting to with my question, because in looking at some of the stuff that they do, our venue is small.
Yes.
Even for getting theater productions,
for sure,
it's small.
For sure. Well, we're excited at the opportunity at 329. Again, I didn't want to go out of lines of this meeting, but we're certainly excited for the opportunity to grow into the campus. And if it meant putting more hard work in the beginning to prove out the success, prove the model in the Crest and the classrooms, and then be able to move there, we could do that. But AEG does work with smaller rooms, and we've had those conversations as we've scouted properties over the last year and a half. Since we found this opportunity, we've stopped scouting properties.
You would need, essentially, for the Crest to be your proposal really would at least, you're expecting it to be delivered a fully ready to go sound, lighting, et cetera, facility.
Delivered by you or delivered by us?
Well, that's the question.
Delivered by us.
So you would come in and you would upgrade it all, you would do all the work and...
For sure. What I said in my presentation is our goal would be to have the same and then further economic impact to at first reduce within maybe 12 to 18 months, remove that burden from the city's books. I wouldn't say today that I'd say, we would want to take 100%, but if we could remove 75 to 80% of your current burden, but still have, and again, specifically any dollars that may be supported by city or just donations would go into only facilities owned by the city in which all enhancements would stay and remain there. But we would certainly oversee all production, designing, lighting. We have a lot of experience with that.
And how long would you anticipate your contract period to be in order to achieve what you want to achieve?
In our mind, it was about 5 years as a commitment to build, and we have a 5-year plan. Yeah. We certainly would be up and operating extremely sooner than that, and aim to be a profitable, self-sustaining venture within about 18 months.
Gotcha. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
So, where are we now?
Mayor, so before you have a ranking sheet, and at this
Before we get into rankings, okay, and let me say this. We have a real opportunity to enhance the community here. And in my mind, the first thing we need to figure out is what we're going to do this summer. Okay, so I'm kind of looking at this summer. DDA's got a good, I wrote some of this stuff down. DDA's got a good handle at the moment on the Cornell, the Pavilion, which I call the amphitheater, and I keep getting corrected. I understand it's called the Pavilion, but I always call it amphitheater. Parks and Rec's doing a good job with the gym. And so when I talked to the Boca Museum about what you could do this summer, it's really because I'm interested in this summer. Whether it extends to another summer, that we could discuss. Because ultimately, it's going to take 2 years for the Crest Theater to be up and running. And what I don't want to do is to put ourselves in a position where I have a long-term contract with someone that would extend beyond the time that the Crest Theater would come in, and the opportunity to run the entire building would be available to either one group or two groups. And by the way, I'm not opposed to two groups. As I said, I've got one thing this discussion has showed me today is that there's about different groups are really experts in different things. And so, you know, the challenge is, and look, I don't have all the answers, but the challenge is to how we're going to make this facility work best for the city of Delray Beach. It's owned by the city and its residents. You know, we've had a lot of tremendous volunteers that got OSS to where it is today. In my view, and for that, I thank the 32 years, and for the DDA recently, I think you've all done a very good job in getting us to where we are today. You know, I'm really thinking of how do I figure out how to take this campus and Old School Square to the next stage? Because and I've talked to a lot of people. Let me say I've talked to the people who run Crest. I've talked to people who run the theater in Miami. I've spent the last 2 weeks talking to people who run venues that are either single venues or venues which have multiple features to them, like they'll have a theater, or they have an amphitheater, or they have a this, that, and the one thing I'm learning is that there are a lot of experts out there. And so my view was, we have this cultural asset that we also need to learn to monetize. I remember sitting at in a CRA meeting back in 2005 when the CRA was asking for, I think it was like, Old School was asking for $300,000 at the time, maybe it was $400,000. And each year they would ask for a little more, but the money they raised each year was greater. So the percentage of their budget, it was going down because they were doing very, very well. But they never got to be the point of being self-sustaining. And I'm not positive any art venue can actually truly be self-sustaining. But I really think that we need to sit back and decide how we want this place to operate, and not just try to turn it over to one group, unless we're talking about forming some umbrella group to oversee the management of the pavilion or the field house or the museum, and obviously the Crest in the classroom. So I'm really not prepared to choose one person today, to rank one person today to run the entire campus, because I don't think we're there yet. I truly don't think we're there yet. And I don't know whether it's going to be the combination of who was here before with some new people coming in. I don't know. I know that we have a tremendous amount of artistic talent in Delray. I know that I look at the way other boards are formed, and the financial commitment of board members in a lot of these other venues is a lot greater than ours, which is where they get their first slug of cash. When I've tried to raise money before, the first question that people always used to ask is, well, how much does the board put in? And we've had a very active board here. They put in money, but I just think that we really need to sit back and see what we want to do, because I think it needs professional management. I think it has gotten to the point where it needs to take the next step and brought up to a higher plane. That's what I think, and so that's why I'm very reluctant to choose somebody today when I don't know where all the avenues and all the potential revenues I can make out of the place with the different components.
Right. I understand what you're saying. What I'm going to say to you is 3 years is going to fly by in a blink. In order for us to even contemplate that, we have to figure out what we need, which we don't even know, and we may not agree on, to be honest with you. And then we would need to go out for an RFP and start those considerations. And we're not in a position even close to that. And the Crest Theater isn't even occupiable. Why not give
You heard
our...
what I said, though. I'm not, if we're going to just do a component of the art school,
Let's just do
No,
the art school. There's
my
Boca
point
Museum
is
sat here and said they
that
don't want the
whether-
whole building.
But my point to the art school is that I don't want it to, I don't want something to be there when I'm working on the Crest as well.
But that's really for them to worry about. You're not going to be there. We're going to be here. Are you saying? I mean, people will be coming
Every
and
one of
going
these people,
and
every one of these
working.
people is going to be in our ear.
People work. Relax, people, please, for a moment. They work. Construction people will come in and work on the theater if they're in the school or not. We're going to leave it totally unoccupied. We don't even have the finances. We haven't gone out for a grant. We're going out about 2 years before anything is done, while we have the opportunity to be running a school for our residents. That doesn't make sense to me, respectfully, Mayor.
Well, as I said, I've looked at this thing pretty carefully. I've spoke to.
So you're going to say, let's leave that school closed down
I'm
for
not
what
letting you put
amounts
words-
to
I'm
2
not letting
years.
you put words in my mouth, Commissioner.
Well, the
What I'm saying-
organization is saying they don't want to go in for the
If
summer.
I may, I don't need you. If I may, my concern is getting the right management to run the various components of the campus.
Understood completely.
And I've had the opportunity to sit on that board.
Yeah.
And, although I wasn't on the executive committee, so I didn't know as much as some other people what was going on, but I still sat on that board, and they still, and so there are things.
Wait,
that
which board are you referring to?
The Old School Square Board.
Okay, if I may, and no disrespect, our purchasing policy does not suggest that we do business with people. That organization, and it's on the public record,
I'm
Mayor,
not
if
doing
you're
this
going to
again.
say that,
I'm not
Mr.
talking-
Long,
I'm not-
I have the floor if I may for 1 moment, please. I'm asking politely. That organization, on the evening of the vote, I said, if you get your finances in order, I will put you back in. And they didn't. And our taxpayers spent approximately $250,000 on senseless litigation.
Respectfully, you haven't heard me mention one group.
I just asked
You
you
haven't
which
mentioned
board
one-
you were referring to.
I'm just saying, I was on that board. So
Right.
understand, what they could do. And I am saying.
I
that
appreciate
I
what they
think
did. I
that
don't know why they didn't get their finances in order and come back,
what-
and we
what-
wouldn't
what
even
I
be
am
discussing
saying-
it.
Come on, that's not
Relax,
accurate.
relax,
You know it.
relax.
You didn't.
That's
You
not
have not
accurate.
reviewed the
You're both out
files,
of
so
order.
you're
I'm
not in a
talking.
position to
The
speak.
chair is talking. You're both out of order. Okay? Enough. What I'm saying is that, and I haven't mentioned one group, you heard say, I don't know who the ultimate group is going to be. Because I
But
think we
that's our
need a
job
group-
to
I
decide.
think we
So
need
are
a
we saying we're
cultural
not
arts council
deciding?
to kind of look at a lot of things. I love the idea. Remember, I was one of the first president of the Creative City Collaborative. The whole idea, the whole concept of that, which morphed into the Arts Garage. We need that some
Why
sort
did we have all these people come in here and do these presentations if we weren't going to make a determination?
That is a separate question, and I don't have an answer for you. What I do know is that I'm not prepared to do the whole Crest Theater today to somebody.
Nobody
If we're
wants
talking
the
about
Crest
doing the art
Theater.
school,
There
I can
isn't
work
a
with
Crest
it within the
Theater.
parameters of the art school.
So can we just then let's process this discussion. Let's take the
But I want
Crest
to keep
Theater
open
off the
Crest.
table.
I want to keep open,
I'm
and
with
I
you.
want to keep open that this is whatever is awarded today is understand.
I completely
it's a temporary
agree.
situation.
Mayor, I want to do exactly what you want to do. We're just having a little separate conversation. Let's take the Crest Theater out of it for now because it's not prepared to be occupied by anybody. It needs $5 million worth of work. And no one has gotten up here and offered to shovel that money out.
It needs work, and it's been needing work for a long
Exactly.
time. But so I'm not going to
Exactly.
say that it's because of one reason or the other it needs the work. It's
So-
an old building. When I was on the CRA in 2008, they said it was going to take us $3 million back then to get it built. So now it's $5 million. Okay, good. It's an old building. It needs to be rehabbed. We all
listen.
know that.
Can I ask
But
a
it's nobody's
question?
issue except it's old.
May I ask a question, please? May I ask?
You may ask a question.
Thank you. I'd like to get permission. So.
Let that be a lesson to us all.
So are you indicating that your interest is just for the summer, for someone to take
Yeah, I mean, I think-
classrooms for the summer and not decide on total management at this time.
Right, and if it means that unfortunately people came in and did things, I'm sorry, I want to make a right decision for the entire city. I really do.
I don't disagree with you. I want to make a right decision, but
And it's no reflection on Boca, because I think they actually run a great art school, and you cannot say they do not. You can moan and groan, but they run a fabulous program. And we should be delighted that they want to come and share some of their expertise with us. So, and that's the way I feel about them
so
as
why
well.
don't, are you not amenable to contracting with them for 3 years?
It's the 3 years I'm having the issue.
Can I chime in and make some comments whenever?
Yes, you may.
Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. So, there was an organization, the Old School Square Center for the Performing Arts, that also can get classes started right away with Delray Beach artists. And so we keep acting like there's only one organization that can start classes right away. And there were two. Old School Square also can. I'm just going to say Old School Square for the sake of brevity, if that's all right. I say
OSS. So.
OSS, there we go, it's even better. So, but the other component that they referenced was that they could have limited activity in the theater as well that would be an extension of their art programs. No one else was able to even really reference doing anything in the theater right now. So I feel like that's why we could have our cake and eat it too, frankly, is we can still open up that theater for presentations, for art exhibits, whatever sort of art-related things that it is. It's an extension of their art school. And then we are using that theater until it is updated. And then at that point, even that group referenced what you referenced, Mayor, which I agree with, the Creative City Cultural Council, a lot of C's in there. So they even referenced being open to that concept, and I think that's the direction that we should be headed in, and it would give us an opportunity to maybe partner with a lot of these groups who came before us tonight and have a lot of great ideas. But if I could kind of make my pitch here, because I took a lot of notes, if you'll bear with me, I'll be quick, I promise. I don't think we came into this knowing 100% what we wanted to do, right? And we're figuring that out now, and I appreciate all these different groups, these organizations coming before us tonight and pitching us different ideas with different perspectives and kind of bearing with us while we figure out the best path forward. Despite my complaints, you guys all did great, and I really appreciate everyone being here tonight. But to me, one group did stand out, and that's OSS, as we're calling it. Just a couple quick notes about their presentation that I took. So they're the only presentation to reference a few things that I think are very pertinent. One was a detailed, phased-out timeline for short-term, mid-term, long-term, which included having classes right away and more or less culminated with this Cultural Arts Council idea, which I think we're all in favor of. They're the only ones that reference revenue generation that I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. They reference this artists in residency program, which keeps our artists in Delray, which is a real issue. I've heard about a lot of artists being ushered out of the Arts Garage right now and being told to go to other communities. This would offer them somewhere to be, because the cost of artists having space has gotten more and more expensive. So I think it's critical that we're supporting our artists. They referenced having a public charrette as well, which I think is a great idea, to have some more public input during this process while we all figure this out together. And they reference using the kitchen for these culinary industry certifications, which I think is a great economic benefit. A lot of other folks reference using the kitchen in creative ways, but to me the certifications was a really interesting thing here that we should consider. And here's probably the most important thing that I didn't hear anybody else reference: the historic preservation of this site, which makes sense this group would reference it since they're the ones that got it on the National Historic Registry and maintained that status for decades. I think that's a critical component of this, is maintaining it as a historic property, so that doesn't all fall onto the city to have to do that, because we've struggled, frankly, over the last couple of years to maintain not only certain parts of Old School Square, but other historic buildings in Delray Beach. I have a whole bunch of other stuff here, but I don't want to take up too much time. I want to give my colleagues a chance to comment further on it.
As most of you know, I come out of the corporate world, so I'm pretty used to these RFP situations, and today raised many new questions in my mind. We saw presentations where some entities can do everything that we want, and we saw some great presentations from people that can do pieces of what we want, and I don't think we anticipated that. I didn't anyways. It's not to say those partnerships are a bad idea, because they're oftentimes not if they're managed really, really well. But for me, I think we now have a good lay of the land in terms of who can do what, And in the corporate world, we would whittle down the number of participants from 6 to 2 or 6 to 3, and come back to them with a much tighter set of guidelines that they would have to come back in front of us and respond to. And I just think that's where we're at right now. I liked all the presentations today, but we need to, I think, Mr. Mayor, I think we need to come back with a new set of specifications. And by the way, this doesn't have to drag out. We can do this quick, and then have them come back, because like everybody else.
What would they come back to provide us?
Well,
it's Mr.
Oh, no, I was just asking for some
you're not interrupting.
input.
It's okay. Yeah, I think we would need to go back to them with a new set of specifications that just says, hey, we want you to operate just the classrooms right now, and in 18 months we're going to want you to operate the theater, because they're going to need answers to that in order to do their financial projections as well. I know if I was sitting in that chair, I'd have to have that information before I could respond. And right now, I think today was awesome. And I want to get this done as quick as I can, but I want to make sure we do it right. So I would be in favor of, I'll call it a 1-week delay while we get our new specifications put together, and maybe we evaluate the companies that we talk to, and see if we can whittle the list down.
Commissioner Burns?
Well, I think that we need to activate the property as soon as possible. I mean, this is, the results of not having a plan in place by making a quick snap decision without having a plan in place. And so I'm not opposed to your idea of, activating it for the summer, but I do think that we need to make a decision to get that campus up and running. And summer is fine. And the Old School Square was one that had the resources and what we need in order to get it done. So I will be in favor.
But they have baggage too. And
I understand.
The elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about the elephants in the room.
want to
And I'm
speak
trying
to
to be
this?
fair to absolutely everybody going forward.
I understand they have baggage, but the city was not also.
I'm not suggesting the city acted
right.
in a great fashion
Two wrongs
either.
don't make a right, so I get it.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion?
Attorney,
Can I make a suggestion?
Oh, sure.
So I know there's some sense of urgency to put those classrooms in place this summer. We could potentially treat the classrooms the way we treat our parks, and we can issue a permit to somebody who wanted to do classrooms, educational programs for kids during the summer. So they would essentially just go to the Parks and Rec Department to request a permit, and they could potentially utilize those buildings. There would be a fee attached to it, and they could use the classrooms if, subject to some type of a permit issued by the city. So some of these groups have said that they're able to just, come in and, but for the pottery class, they could potentially fill them. And that's one way that you could potentially fill these classrooms over the summer. The only recommendation that I have is whatever you decide to do, I would strongly recommend just issuing licenses. Licenses are revocable. Obviously, we would put notice provisions in them, but it gives you a little bit more flexibility in the event that in 3 years, the vision of the city changes or the commission changes and you want to do something different. So a license gives you much more flexibility than a lease would. And I think it lowers the expectations of what the licensee is to that property, and it just reminds people that they're merely just utilizing the space and it's a public space. So we could come back in a week with some, suggestions from Park and Rec. They do this routinely they have a program that does it. So if you wanted to just get people in there to start using the space, they're ready to go. So it's just a matter of making sure they have the proper insurance requirements, and we would the commission would set a fee, and then they could just potentially rent out those classrooms as they needed. They could do Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the whole summer. They could do Tuesday, Thursday, whatever their plan is, and at least you could get something going until we make an ultimate decision on the entire property.
That would be, so what are we talking about then? So how do we,
If I may, before we proceed, I do believe, in all fairness, that the commission should go and meet with Renee and discuss the history, because the idea that this just occurred randomly one night,
I
this
haven't
was
forgotten the
2
history. I
years
haven't forgotten that we were
of
sued by them. I
back
haven't
and
forgotten
forth.
the fact that we spent
2 years of not getting
$500,000 in legal fees.
documentation.
I haven't forgotten any of it.
Well,
they have.
some
but I
of
haven't.
your fellow commissioners aren't aware of the history, and I think
I
it
am
would be
aware of it.
fair during making
I'm
the
aware of it.
determinations. Well, if you haven't met with Renee on this subject and you haven't gone through the file, I talked to her today, Rob, if I may, and she said you haven't.
Look.
Sorry.
Mayor, would you like me to speak with
Renee
staff?
can't tell you what we've talked about. So if you were asking Renee what her and I have
asked
talked
her
about,
if anyone has
Please,
accessed
hey,
the file,
hey,
Mr.
hey,
Long,
hey,
and you have not. It's copious
Remember the
amounts
first
of
meeting
notes.
I said I would shut the meeting down? I'm getting to that point. Yes.
So I can come back, I can email each of you, I meet with you individually, and if I can come up with a plan with staff that could potentially and we're just
Address the
issuing.
summertime.
Yes, and just issuing permits. It's a simple permit. Anybody can come in if they want to host a program for children, for adults, whatever. And it's just a permit, so it's not a long-term commitment. And we would issue them through September 1st.
Because I do think we should have some operational stuff there this summer.
And you don't need to rush into a decision, and at least it's accomplishing what I think the collective concern is, which is to utilize those classrooms and have them occupied. And it gives you a little bit more time to, now I will say this, if you're not making a decision today, we do have a cone of silence in place. And so it doesn't sound like you're in a position to close this out officially, which would mean rejecting all the proposals and we close it out. So you would not be able to meet with any of the proposers that would hear today. I would tell you not to contact them until you're able to reconvene and have another discussion about it. Our next meeting is June 4th. We could bring back information to you then, and then you can make a decision as to how you want to address it. But I think we've learned that when we rush into decisions, that's when we make mistakes. And so a permit gives you a lot of flexibility. It's just a permission to use, and it's not a long-term relationship that you're entering into that you might regret later, right? So I think if we can do that.
Are we doing that at a fee, attorney?
I would recommend a fee, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would come back. I know Missy has some information that she can. We hired somebody to give us rates. We would bring that back to you on June 4th. You would set the rates, and then we'd be able to. And permits are easy to issue, so it's not a cumbersome process, and it'll get you where you want to be through the summer. And then you could have some more meaningful discussions later to make a final decision.
Because we really need the right kind of arts council to operate this facility and to have bona fide experts. And and with respect to, they're going to be mad at me on this, but there was no reason why those audits couldn't be done on time. None. COVID, they relaxed the rules. If you can't push a button and print your GL and send it to get an audit done, you're not keeping your books right.
Mayor,
and there's no way you can tell me you did. There's no way you can tell me you did.
Thank you
'Cause
for supporting
I've
me
been in
on that.
finance for too long.
Thank you.
So
Can I just,
but
Mayor?
there was a lot of mistakes made on all sides. And if I'm trying to move forward, I'm trying to move forward.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I don't disagree with you. I would have just appreciated if they acknowledged there was financial problems. That's all I wanted, not lying and saying we were lying, suing our city attorney and saying she was lying, accusing our CRA director of lying. Come on. But we're putting this behind us and we're moving forward. But if I may, respectfully ask you why we wouldn't contemplate, we create our Cultural Arts Council,
Yeah.
right? We get our theater a plan for a real plan for our theater.
Right.
Why we wouldn't contemplate allowing them 3 years in the classrooms? It's going to take us that long to get this done, Mayor Carney.
I'm just not ready to do that right this second.
I've been here before, and I respect you. Everything takes 100 times longer than you wish.
And I am absolutely.
And I
aware
fear
of
we're
it.
going to be sitting in here 3 years from now with no classrooms running.
Well, I hope to be sitting here in 3 years from now with a fully operating campus with the pavilion making money, the theater making money, the classrooms making money, and I'm not sure about the museums. Museums never make money.
No.
But
Well, thank you all for coming, I guess.
So is there consensus
yes.
for the permit
well,
process?
yeah. Is there a consensus among the board?
I think your suggestion's spot on.
Mr. Long?
No, I think we should move forward tonight, but that's okay.
Okay.
I think we should move forward tonight, too.
So we have 3 to say yes and 2 to say they want to move forward
So
tonight.
we'll bring that back June 4th? And then,
That would be fine.
and we'll have a plan in place for the permits.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
We are adjourned.